In the end, it's all very simple. Even a cat can do it. A cat can understand. A cat would never be embroiled in such horrifying disputes as you'll find now between Israel and Palestine. It's all in virtue of the fact that we have such a massive cerebral cortex, or whatever you want to call it. But that's no excuse. We can understand, we can resolve all these problems at once. And we will. Let's go ahead. You'd think that the way society is degrading, that we could use a little more reason in our lives, wouldn't you? The place for respectful, genuine dialogue about the issues of the day is diminishing. People talk over each other's heads, past each other, so convinced of our own views and that they are correct, and that those on the opposing side are brutal and not even worth listening to. A good example, and one that's been bothering me, is the conflict between Israel and Palestine, and Russia and Ukraine. Everyone thinks they're so right and the other side is so wrong, and there's not a chance for understanding. Like, what kind of humanity are we worthy of? We call those who listen to President Putin of Russia traitors, as if he doesn't have a point of view worth listening to. People who are supporting Palestine call Israel genocidal, comparing what they're doing to what was done in the Holocaust. It's insane. In articles and broadcasts, each side simply declares their conclusion. And of course, there's always a certain truth in their conclusion, but seldom is it the whole truth or a helpful way of thinking. And the same goes for politics and political disputes of every kind. One side says this, the other says that. As we know, it's an adversarial system, and we like it that way. Maybe it's thought that in this combat of ideas, the stronger will rise to the top and win. Although I don't think that's actually what happens. What happens is that the side that acts with the most anger and force is the one that wins. The one that's more clever, more organized, more charismatic. This is a fight based on power, not reason. The place for reason is shrinking. Therefore, we need to strengthen reason. That is a solution, right? No. Critical thinking is a last resort of the intellect. It's also, in a way, the use of force, and that's the force of intellect. There's much more to understanding than the mind. You can't understand with the mind alone. Critical thinking is rational and skeptical analysis of facts and arguments, but understanding requires far more than that. For understanding, you need to proceed with goodwill, with a desire to escape the prerogatives of one's own interests and ego, to find a solution that transforms the assumptions that got the problem started to begin with. No matter how analytic your mind, if you're full of yourself, if you're arrogant and narcissistic, you simply cannot go there. First and foremost, understanding requires humility, recognition that you're not yet capable of knowing, but with the willingness to persist, to sacrifice for truth, to go as far as is necessary to reach the heart of whatever topic you're in. It also means that you question all forms of authority, ideology, identity, instinct. Understanding is a really beautiful possibility, a unitary, curative process. It brings together the inner and the outer, the ideal and the real. Pay attention to those you disagree with. Focus on what's true about their views, not what's wrong. Doing so respectfully, even with love when possible, is what's needed for understanding. Find out directly for yourself. Don't believe anything you're told. Question your assumptions, beliefs, influences, biases, and be willing to sacrifice for the truth, to undergo test and trial, to recognize your own weaknesses and biases. Don't lie to yourself. Remove the scales from your eyes. Don't look to government or business for a solution. Learn how to see, to listen. Yes, there's a way other than reason and intellect, and other than politics. It's something beautiful. One of the most beautiful possibilities that we have in virtue of being human. Critical thinking is not the answer.